Women, they represent half of India's electorate. Their vote can make or break the fortunes of political parties. No wonder women are key vote bank for them. Today, we look at how the political class is wooing women with welfare schemes. Take a look.
470 million. That's the approximate number of women who are eligible to vote in India's upcoming general elections. Of late, more and more women across India's states have been coming out to vote in large numbers. Moreover, the 2019 general elections saw a rise of over 5% in women voter turnout. In India's multi-party system, where elections go down the wire, every vote counts. The rising profile of women voters is reflected in the number of women-centric schemes across India. Be it at the centre or the state, women are becoming a key part of India's political economy. The centre's gender budget, which looks at women-oriented schemes, has risen by 6.5% in the interim budget. Every state government, irrespective of the party in power, has key schemes targeted at women. But it would be wrong to limit women-centric schemes as just being tools to catch votes. India has low women participation in the economy, contributing just about 18% to the GDP. These schemes aim to empower women and bring them into the mainstream of India's political economy. Closing the gender gap could help India's economy rise by 27% and become an economic powerhouse. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
All right, for more insights, we are being joined by Ms. Mithali Nikor, economist and founder of Nikor Associates, live from Delhi. Welcome to World Business Watch, ma'am. Want to get your better understanding from you. Can you give us an insight into women-oriented schemes in India and the impact that they have had on empowering women? Because, of course, the women voters have been essential, and all political parties are wooing them one by one. Of course, we're now being joined by Ms. Mithali Nikor. As I introduced earlier, she is an economist and founder of Nikor Associates, live from Delhi. Ma'am, give us a better understanding and insight into women-oriented schemes in India.
So first of all, a very, very happy Women's Day to you and to all the viewers. I think, it couldn't have come at a better time, this discussion, because honestly, we work for women and gender equality every day, but I think we get to celebrate it today. Today is literally the day I take off so that I don't have to work today. But, when we look at the women-oriented schemes in India, the best way to start analyzing them is to look at the gender budget. And if we look at the quantum of the gender budget over the last 15 years, we've seen that, it's increased from about 3% of the total expenditure. And this year, in 2024, in the interim budget, it actually crossed 6.5% of total expenditure. Some of the major schemes, of course, the Anganwadi scheme is like a flagship scheme which provides a lot of infrastructure investments for, early learning. For now, childcare. The new Palna scheme has been launched, which actually mandates establishing creches within Anganwadis. There is also a push towards having a lot of women entrepreneurship schemes, since the 1970s when the Seva was first set up, the self-employed women's movement, to now when we have the National Rural Livelihood Mission, the National Urban Livelihood Mission. All of these schemes have a massive focus on women entrepreneurship. You have the Stand Up India, Startup India, Mudra schemes, all of which, are disproportionately benefiting women while they were not designed for women. 70-80% of their beneficiaries are women. And then you have a, set of social protection schemes like the Ujjwala Yojana, and, you have the Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, Mobile Trinity, the Jam Trinity, because of which, you've been able to transfer a lot of benefits, like, say, for example, gas connections and, also cash transfers directly to women's accounts. So, these 2 or 3 pillars really of livelihoods, health and nutrition, as well as social protection, together make up the safeguards that the government has put in place to support women.
Ms. Nikor, do you see a link between the increasing electoral participation of women in India, of course, and their socio-economic well-being?
So I think, it's a very interesting question. To be very honest, political parties very clearly till the last maybe decade were always looking at women as an important sort of marginalized group, or rather a special interest group that needed to be taken care of and needed to be invested in. But in the last decade, when we've seen this government come in and really systematically invest in women's welfare, that's where we really start to see women also emerging and starting to understand that they can demand things. And it's not only at the central level. I mean, when we look at some of the state government schemes, like, for example, you have several cash transfer schemes across different states. I mean, West Bengal has a very strong, cash transfer scheme for women. You have in Kerala, very strong women's self-help groups, like the Kudumbashri, which have been there for a very long time, and the government supports them very actively. So I think over the last few decades, this has sort of emerged that as women's, empowerment in terms of especially the financial, empowerment has come about, there's also this, increasing realization that they can demand for certain safeguards and for certain schemes from their local governments and from the national government.
Now, Ms. Nikor, of course, there is an economic gender gap. There's no denying that. I wanted to understand from you, how can India's political class help in bridging that gap?
So I'm already seeing a lot of political will. I think across the board, when one mentions that there has to be this initiative for gender equality, there is an immediate acceptance that, yes, that's something that has nothing to do with political divide, and that's something that, we all have to come together and do. And I think that's very refreshing and really, empowering even for a feminist economist like myself, because, in many countries, this is not the case today, right? India today is at that point where women-led development is a goal, regardless of which political party you belong to. So I think that itself provides a very conducive environment for gender inclusive policy making. And whenever we've gone with, policy recommendations and we've written about our policy recommendations, they've just been very positively received. So I do think that now the political will is very much in place. What we are doing is to really try and help, the different agencies, the government agencies at different levels, even at city level, to try and actually implement some of these measures, say, for example, for the care economy, for public transport, to make that gender inclusive, to make urban planning gender inclusive, to make, women entrepreneurship a reality. So there's a lot of work that's happening.
All right, that was Ms. Mithali Nikor joining us live from Delhi. Wishing you a very happy Women's Day, and thank you so much for sharing all your insights right here with us on World Business Watch.
Thank you.